Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Hunter.
Hunter. Yes, I am so excited to be here with all of you today and get to introduce you, give you a little more insight into our incredible CFO, Edith. I was just telling Edith, I'm so excited to ask her these questions because I feel like I already know her. I've gotten the pleasure of meeting her in real life and she's wonderful, but she also has a very impressive and very cool backstory and career trajectory. So Edith, why don't we start from the very beginning? And could you tell us a little bit more about your early life and the influence your parents had on your career and the career you have today?
Yeah, sure. Lauren, thank you. Thanks for having me. So excited to be here and share my story. So I grew up, I was born and raised in Hong Kong in a very modest family. My parents didn't go to college. My mom was a housewife and my dad was a mechanic. When I was 14, my family moved to the United States. And we settled in a small community across from Portland, Oregon. And it's called Vancouver, Washington. Very small at the time. It's much bigger now. And so my parents, when they first moved to the US, really struggled to find jobs because of their language barrier. So we ended up buying a fast food restaurant. And so my sister and I worked there, during high school at nights and on most weekends. It was A&W, so like I was flipping burgers and making root beer floats for most of my high school years. So I think my parents made it very clear to us that the reason why they left home to move to the US is because they wanted a better life, better future for my sister and I. So because of that upbringing, I was super motivated from an early age to succeed in whatever I do. And I think, that really was a motivation.
That's incredible. And I think it's so telling of, the kind of person you are today and the kind of leader you are with that motivation and drive. So I'd love to just maybe dive in a little deeper about how your experience as an immigrant has informed who you are personally and professionally, aside from that drive, or maybe drive included.
Yeah, I think, there are a lot of things that, I learned from being an immigrant, right? But the biggest thing for me is definitely being adaptable. So I'm naturally an introvert, and making friends is never an easy thing for me. And you can imagine, I moved here at the age of 14, not speaking the language and trying to navigate middle school, and at the same time was like climbing Mount Everest. I remember one day I walked into math class at 7th grade. The whole class was gone. I really remember this because it was really funny. I walked in, there was myself and one other student in the class with the substitute teacher. And I was like, okay, what happened to everyone? Whole week, no one showed up. And then next Monday came, I found out the whole class went to a class trip to Disney World. And I was like, why was I not there? But looking back, there were lots of communication and lots of things that I missed because the class was selling chocolate for fundraising and all these things. But because I didn't speak the language, I had no idea, there was such thing as field trips, that, I missed the whole thing. And I think, learning a new culture, learning a new language, trying to fit in really challenged me to be adaptive and to be resilient. On the professional side, I think hard work, the value of hard work is what I really learned from this experience. I say it all the time, like I may like to my kids, like I may not be the smartest person in the room, but like I'm definitely one of the hardest person in that room for sure. So like I love reading articles and about like a success story of various different business people, and I hardly ever like read like someone who's successful and not put in the hard work, right? So I think that's so important.
I love that. And I think you also bring just such a unique perspective to conversations, especially I think when we talk about like all the different facets of marketing and finance and budget. I feel like you always think about things in a unique way that makes me think about things differently. And maybe that is because, a segue into our next question, you've had such a diverse career experience on top of a personal experience. You've worked for Fortune 500 companies like eBay and many fast rising startups like PowerToFly. What do you find an enterprise company can offer that a startup cannot, and vice versa? Like, what are those differences? And, how has your experience really transcended through each of the different sized organizations you've been a part of?
Yeah, like there are many different things. One, like enterprise companies have more people, but one that really stood out, is big companies has a lot more resources, right? And whether it is larger budget, better technology, better tools, better benefits, more perks, especially, so I live in the Bay Area, and my career has always has mostly been in the Bay Area, and I definitely see a lot of those, like free lunches, free massages, and anything you can think of. But what I think a startup can offer, in my opinion, is growth and advancement. There's in a startup like ours, like PowerToFly, there's so many different opportunities where one can contribute and can pick up, right? And employees definitely have more opportunities to expand their skill set, where at a big company you might not be able to, because like there's 30 people doing the exact same job, versus at a startup like ours, you might have one person doing 5 different jobs. So you're learning so many different things and growing with the company, which is like big companies sometimes cannot offer.
It's the fun part, right?
Oh, so fun, right? Wear many different hats.
Oh yeah, I mean, it comes with its challenges, but it's definitely, there's no two alike days.
So true, so true.
On that note, Edith, for our audience out there, what advice would you give to someone who's looking to make that transition from enterprise to startup? And I mean, I think some of the points you just said about, being adaptable and nimble, those are so key when we're looking to make new hires. But obviously the market is tough out there. So how do people make that transition as seamless as possible?
Yeah, so I think first of all, like if someone were to look into making a transition from a bigger company to a startup, really have to look at your own priorities, right? Because sometimes, because like big companies and startups have such different characteristics and offer such different experiences for the employees, you should definitely do your research first. Then what are your top priorities? If your top priority is free lunch, then maybe a startup isn't going to be good for you, right? So, like write down all your priorities and be true to yourself. And then look at, like, okay, when you're ready to make that leap, just be ready to be like give up, or make sure that it's okay. Some of those things are not going to be there. So like I said, right? Like maybe the big budgets, the tools, so you have to roll up your sleeves more and wear many different hats at a startup. So just have to be ready for that. I think, that would be the advice that I give someone.
I think that's great, and absolutely ties into this next question as well, which is, as a financial expert, we know that right now can be a tricky time for tech startups and startups across the board. I don't think it's limited to tech, unfortunately. But what advice would you give to someone who's looking to start their own company or take their company to the next level during this difficult time?
This is a really good question, but a really tough questions. First of all, I want to recognize the founders are the most amazing people around us. They're visionaries. They work the hardest in the company. They have to be resilient and passionate all at the same time. But most importantly, I think founders in this time right now have to be also resourceful and disciplined. I was reading an E&Y report not too long ago. I think they said that in first half of 2022, VC invested something like 140 billion in investing, right? And that number dropped by half to 70 billion in second half of 2022. Then that same downtrend continue in in first quarter of 2023. So it's not that money is not there. It's definitely a lot less, right? VC are being so cautious these days compared to a year or two ago, rightfully so, because of all the things that are happening around us. But that doesn't mean there's still there's no investment and no money, no investment being made. So I think founders and who are looking to start their own company now, or who are looking to raise funding, have to be have to innovate, with limited resources, and have to learn how to scale, efficiently, to be able to attract those investment. So our own board, the repeated message that we hear from our own board is efficient growth. So definitely gone is the days when money is cheap, right? So our investors are expecting that we grow, but being very efficient and very responsible. And so, that is super important in this environment right now.
That's really great, I guess, perspective. And I just got a question in the chat, and I think kind of what you were saying is pretty tied into that, because these startup founders who are having to be nimble and scrappy and creative with their resources, that's what they're looking for, who they're looking for in new talent. So this person in the chat wants to know, how would you advise someone to communicate those startup friendly skills in a way that stands out to you, such as agility, positive attitude, or the ability to wear many hats?
How to communicate to, so in a job interview setting?
Yeah, what stands out to you, if you were hiring someone right now, what would you be looking for in your next candidate?
I think I would look for someone who is always learning new things. I especially like to look for someone who is always learning new things. And when I ask questions, when look at the projects or the careers that or things that this person has done, I want to see this person would increase responsibilities and also increase skill set. That tells me that this person is not always just being comfortable, right? But but learning over the course of his, her, or their career. So that's really important to me, because like, and also like, being able to, for example, like in finance, learn new systems, and like sometimes you might not even have used it, but like sometimes if you can show me that like on your spare time you actually was curious enough to go in and research a new tool, like for example, ChatGPT is super trendy right now, right? I want to hear that like you're actually curious and you're out there, doing your own research and learn like how ChatGPT can be applied, in your future work, for example. Like I want to hear those things. That tells me that you're curious and you're adaptable and you want to learn new things. So that's what I look for.
I think that's so smart. And you're making me think of something Catherine, one of the PowerToFly co-founders, said in an interview. She told someone, she's looking for learn-it-alls, not know-it-alls. And I thought that was like a very cool statement, because, people who want to learn, obviously, like you said, are curious, demonstrate the ability to critically think. And those are skills that, we all have to have right now in this changing market. So I love that. I think that's great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's pivot a little bit. In addition to being CFO, you're also a mom, and working for a fast-paced startup can be difficult. How do you practice work-life integration?
Ooh, work-life integration.
What is that?
Yeah, it's so important to me. So I'm a mom of 2 kids, Tyler in middle school and Alexis in elementary school. Like being able to spend time with them is it's one of my priorities, right? And so I think when joining PowerToFly has really given me the opportunity to really have a work-life integration and spend more time with them. I make sure that during my day, I carve out a little section of time to be able to spend with them after they come back from school, and like to take them to the activities, and to work on homework together, or just play a board game, whatever the case may be. I really make sure that I carve out that a little bit of time every day to spend with them. Now I won't lie, because I'm not a superwoman, and working in a fast-paced startup and raising 2 kids means like I just don't have a lot of personal time. So like I think in one of my meetings someone asked me like, what is your favorite TV show? I'm like, oh, I don't know, I don't have one. I like I have to sneak in time at night, late night, if I want to watch those trashy TV shows.
No judgment.
So yeah.
And this is a little off grid, but I mean, Mother's Day is coming up, and happy early Mother's Day to you, Edith. But if you were to pass one piece of professional advice down to your children as an immigrant, as a working mother, as a CFO, as a female C-suite leader, like what would that piece of advice be?
I think I would tell my kids to really find your purpose, and just find your purpose and go for it, right? Because everyone is different. I look at my children, and one is very athletic, the other one is really into art. I mean, they're still young, but like when I look at them, I'm picturing in the future what they're going to be like, what career are they going to be go into. It's going to be so different for them, even though they're both my children, right? And they grow up in the same family and same environment, but I'm very sure their path is going to be very different, just based on kind of their personality right now. So I want them to like be empowered to make like find the path that their purpose, find the path they want to be in, and just work hard and go for it, right? So that's what I want to pass on to my kids.
I love that. That's so sweet. I'm going to pivot again. Lots of pivots in this conversation, but I feel like we're covering a lot of ground. Let's talk a little bit about PowerToFly. So you joined the PowerToFly team in late 2022. What attracted you to PowerToFly's DEIB focused mission?
I literally fell in love with Malena, our CEO's mission and vision the first time I talked to her. Oh, my screen, sorry about that. My screen moved for a minute. I really like her vision of helping, in this DEI journey, really resonate with me, especially being tech women, a woman in tech, because I mentioned my career has always been in the Bay Area, and so I kind of seen a lot of different workplace in tech, and I feel like we need a company like PowerToFly to really bridge the gap in this in this age. Recently, I actually read an article recently. It was a really funny article. The article title said, I think it said, women at the CEO level, women finally outnumber men. And I thought, what? There is no way. So I clicked into the article, and then it was really clever, but also a bit sad. And when I read, the article, it actually said, women CEO finally outnumber CEO with the first name John among S&P 500 companies, right? And it was sad because there's studies been done, and our experience have shown, over and over again, when you have a diverse workforce, it makes companies better because we make better decisions, we innovate better, and ultimately leads to better profits. But yet we're still here. There's so much more work to be done. So I think PowerToFly is on a mission to change that, and it just, the mission is so clear, and it's so important to me.
And I mean, my boyfriend's name is John, so that study is specifically made me chuckle a little bit. But I think it's important to shout out that at PowerToFly, all three of our C-suite executives are not only women, but they're immigrants, which I don't know of any company that their entire C-suite is made of female immigrants. So that's really incredible. But how does that make you feel just about, I mean, obviously the future and potential for our company, but the potential for other companies like PowerToFly who are looking to become more like PowerToFly?
Yeah, it's really incredible because the three of us, we are so different. We brought such different, diverse culture and background to this team, and we look at things so differently, right? And which is a really good thing, because you don't want a team to all think the same and to be one way. It's really good to have sometimes healthy disagreement, and or to have different perspective, and then ultimately be able to come to a agreement, right? So I think it's really great, but it's not just at PowerToFly. It's not just the C-suite that is diverse. Our workforce is very diverse. It's I've never seen any other workplace that has such diversity, and that is, I strongly believe that is our secret sauce. And it makes us stronger as a company. And I'm just so proud to be part of this company.
I love that. I am too. It's really incredible. And I don't think there's anyone out there with our diversity. So secret sauce. I love that.
Well, hopefully, but hopefully we're going to make that happen, right?
Exactly. I mean, perfect segue, Edith. What, aside from making every company out there as diverse as PowerToFly, what are you most looking forward to for our future? And maybe we can take it in two different ways, like particularly like in your world as finance and maybe like wider world as the greater company.
So in the finance realm, I think, I want to continue to see PowerToFly grow and prosper. I mean, that's, like as a CFO, that's what I want to see. And that's partially because I'm on this journey, right, to help the company grow. But more importantly, I'm really looking forward to be part of this DEI journey with the company to really, connect to make other organizations just like ours, like to make, other organizations, to help them to be more diverse and and be able to connect to, the diverse and talented community that we have.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We are just about at time here. So before I pass the mic over to Rob, is there anything else that you want the audience to know? Any last takeaways? And then I'd love for you to just give the audience a way to follow you or continue along your journey, connect with you, whatever you want to share. Now is the time to shine.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to share my story. I think, my work just started. I've been here for a year. Actually, yesterday was my 1-year anniversary. So, I celebrated 1 year at PowerToFly, but really just getting started. So really looking forward to be on this journey with, with the whole company. I'm on LinkedIn, and you can feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn under my name, and you'll find me on the PowerToFly LinkedIn page. I guess like the group. So if you have any, if anyone have any questions after today, feel free to send me a LinkedIn message.
Well, thank you so much, Edith. It was lovely getting to dive in a little bit deeper to your background and your journey. So thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to be here with us. I really enjoyed our conversation.
Thank you, Lauren.